What's up, everybody? Welcome into a new episode of the J-Rock Show. We don't have JR today, it's just me, JK here, and we got plenty of SimWorld U action to get into, a lot going on, and let's kick things off with the reigning national champions. The Miami Hurricanes look like a dumpster fire. Lost last night, 7-0 run late from South Carolina to take down the reigning champs. A lot of concern regarding the reigning champs early on this season. Trailed at halftime, only one player in double figures. Kevon Jackson's banged up, and this Miami team is really just struggling to make noise. Yes, they're ranked in the top 10, but right now they're not playing like a top 25 team in the SP rankings. Duke's clearly better than them. UNC's clearly better than them, for sure, in the ACC. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. This Miami team, they're going to need to get back on track. Having no Kevon Jackson, having guys like Dominic Bianco shoot 4 for 9 from the floor. Edgar Fernandez had 9 points. Jermaine McLemore is their go-to scorer. Without Kevon Jackson, this team is really struggling. But shout out Keandre Baldridge. 18 points. Takes down the Hurricanes. Too much for Richard Hennessy to handle. And the Gamecocks improved to 5-3 on the season. Miami falls to 2-4. They're number 15 in the country right now. Real chance that there's no number next to their name on Sunday during those upcoming SP rankings, and I wouldn't be surprised. South Carolina shot 2 for 17 from 3, and they still beat you. I understand this team is uber talented, and Jim Larinaga led them to a national championship last year. But what are you doing, Hurricanes? It's early in the season, but these are the kind of losses that can really deflate your momentum, and you're seeing it right now with Miami. But Kentucky, number 1 Kentucky, has looked like the team to beat in SimWorld U early on this season. Jamison Johnson, Glory Tate. We saw Adonis Knight step up in that come-from-behind victory against UConn. And now Trey Trust entered the starting lineup, and in his debut as a starter last night, Trey Trust erupted for 29 points. Good on Mark Pope for finally getting this kid in the starting lineup, because he's really making the most of the opportunity. Made 4 threes against the Huskies. 29 points in the encore right there. 9 threes for Trey Trust in just 22 minutes. And Jamison Johnson only had shot 6 for 17. Glory Tate shot 4 for 10. It was the freshmen for Kentucky that have really stepped up as these key supporting options lately, and it's why Kentucky is the runaway favorite right now. They have 2 clear stars, but they have a good supporting cast. They have a good bench. They have the talent to make a deep run in SimWorld U right now, but it's not really... I don't think it's getting talked about enough given their number 1. Adonis Knight has really turned it on in recent games, and Trey Trust, they said he earned his spot in the starting lineup. That is certainly what he did last night against Syracuse. 94-70 win for the Wildcats, and 9-0 now. And they were saying that they shouldn't start him because they're undefeated. I understand that if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but yikes. One of the bigger surprises of the early collegiate season has been the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They beat Kansas. They're one of the more consistent teams in all of SimWorld U, despite being expected to be one of the worst teams in the ACC. They look far better than Miami does right now. They're 7-1, number 5 in the SimWorld U poll. Dante Walker is averaging 20 points per game and has blossomed into one of the most prolific scorers in the country. And Adam Mahmoud, 54% from deep. Props to the freshman right there. Damon Stoudemire, we love him for his WBA career, but he's really making a name for himself in coaching circles right now. Tech's never really been that great of a basketball school, and it really kind of feels like they're turning the tides a little bit. They've won 4 in a row, and it's a younger team. There's some experience, but they're exceeding my expectations, and I'm interested to see what this team does as the season continues to unfold. Georgia Tech has been one of the most fun, most surprising storylines of the early SimWorld U season. Them and Mississippi State, who's 5-3, sitting at number 9. Terrell Pearson's been great. Chris Jansen's done a great job turning this program around. So I want to give a quick shout to them. But Houston lost 2 in a row. They were 2-1, sitting pretty at number 14, and now they're 2-3. They lost to the number 10 Longhorns, who've won 3 in a row in their own right. But losing to Washington State, you squander a halftime lead. A.G. Fabenley shoots 2 for 5 points, has 8 combined points over their last 2 games. Cole Abdul-Rauf and Carl Holmes are a great duo, but on the offensive side, this Houston team is way too inconsistent, and we're seeing that Kelvin Sampson is playing for his job, and it doesn't really look like that's really reaping benefits. It doesn't really look like a more motivated Houston team. They disappointed last year, even though they won the conference, and they're disappointing early on this season too, and I would not be surprised if he gets fired if this really continues. But for the Virginia Cavaliers, the Dmitry Kostov era is off to a bad start. 1-4. Tony Bennett was on the hot seat before he shockingly retired before the season. 25 points, 11 rebounds from Johnny Baldwin on a lot of shot volume. But Cole Webb fouled out. They fall to Davidson, 86-83. Near triple-double for Benari James. We knew Benari James was one of the most prolific SimWorld prep talents and had what it took to be a go-to scoring option for the Wildcats. And he's proven it right now. 11 assists, team high in points. You kind of share that backcourt with Keontae Doucette. And then you still have Nick Hugo, you still have Deontay Odom, Jameel Wright-Foreman. This Davidson team, even at 2-2, so much better than that record suggests. And I think they're really going to be a sleeper in that conference. Definitely a team to keep an eye on. However, we have an uber intriguing Friday night slate of games. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Memphis takes on Tennessee. In-state rivalry. Big guard battle between Lacedarius Outlaw and Trey Turner. Tennessee has really been going off the rails lately. There's been no help for Trey Turner. Henrik Vekic has really taken a step back from last year. The fall off is palpable. And Tennessee does not look like a team that reached the quad last season. But Memphis, between LDO and Trey Turner, both these teams are looking like they could really use this victory. Memphis is 3-2 across their last 5. They're 13th in the country. LDO is averaging 21 points per game. But Trey Turner is putting this Volunteers offense on his back. Nobody can doubt that. 25 points per game nearly. 40 made threes. 54% from long range. This kid has SWBA scouts salivating for good reason. He plays with such conviction. We know he can shoot it. We know he can come up in those big moments. But he has no help. Vekic, 12-5. Malik Riles, 14-7. Very subpar supporting cast for Rick Barnes. They're 5-4 and 20th in the country, but I don't think they deserve to be ranked. They're not playing like a top 25 team right now. So something to keep top of mind. But one of the most interesting games of the night, Jackson State taking on the number 10 Texas Longhorns in Jackson. Longhorns 7-3 have overcome their early season woes, and Arthur Lattimore has quickly made his presence felt for the Longhorns. I do love this Longhorns team. I think they're one of the most fun teams to watch in the country. You got Vincent Magic, you got Arthur Lattimore. That Claudio Lattimore front court is one of the best in the country. And Jackson State, where they lack is their size. They're not going to be able to handle 7'2" DeMonte Claudio, 6'9" Arthur Lattimore, and the playmaking of Vincent Magic when D. Woodley's 5'10". D. Woodley got locked up in their last outing, and he's a guy that good coaches and good teams know how to scheme against him, and he was taken away in their last outing. Texas has to replicate that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I wouldn't be surprised about really anything that goes down in Jackson tonight. I expect Texas to win handily, but JSU is a lot better than their record indicates. They have not had a lot of early season action. They're 2-2. They're coming off a loss. Again, it's the bench outside of D. Woodley. nobody I'm really wowed by. He has SWBA aspirations, but I think he's a bit overrated. You're 5'11", excuse me, and shooting 14% from deep. What's the appeal to these GMs or these scouts right now? Because I'm not seeing it. If someone would like to enlighten me, D. Woodley, I'm sorry, but you're reaching those uncharted, overrated territories. But Lamarian Sherwood has become... It's not Jameson Johnson has been the best big man in SimWorld U early on this season. 23 points, 10 rebounds. Iowa's 5-2, and in a deep Big Ten, they're hanging around because of Lamarian Sherwood. 7 feet, senior. He's playing like a senior. This Iowa team has really no other offense. They have got role players, but no other go-to star. But Big Ten, they love their big men. They love physical basketball, and Lamarian Sherwood does that as well as anybody. But that's gonna do it for today's episode of the J Rock Show. I'm your host JK. Don't forget to tune into our other great shows, our great live broadcast. Tune into the Memphis-Tennessee game tonight. And don't forget, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game and be the game.